whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you are lucky enough to be doing it too. I'm Bushka on Blitz, and I am very proud to be bringing you today a little bit of the recent King of Europe tournament, where some of Europe's top clans, not all of them mind you, but a lot of them, got together and had a run at a map-style tournament. Basically, you battle for territories, and the person with the most territories at the end of a given time period is declared the King of Europe. And today we're looking at Blast 44 is our driver, and he is running for the Legion clan, and they are against the Raid boys. Now, I did have a lot of footage from a recent Raid v Kazna game, which was excellent, but unfortunately the footage keeps skipping and the sound was a bit crappy. I think it was just teething problems. So we're going to be running this one, and I'll get together and see if I can't get a hold of that footage again if you guys like this, and we can put some more competitive stuff. Now, this is top-notch play. Just so you know, watching these guys play is fantastic, and it just makes me all the keener to get to the Blitz Twister Cup tournament in New York to see the World Finals, where we get the best of Europe, Asia, NA, etc., and they all get together. Mother Russia, not to be excluded, obviously they'd be the red hot favourites, and have a look to see who comes out on top and wins the big prize pool. As is usually the case in all these competitive gaming tourneys, if you are not running a whole heap of Russian tanks, you're doing it wrong. And you can see the Object 140 seems very much to be the choice of assassin's weapon when it comes to the good players in Blitz. And you can't really blame them, because in all honesty, the 140 has everything you would want from a tawny tank. You've got exceptional mobility, fantastic camouflage, very strong armor profile, brilliant damage per minute, and the ability to really stay low and out of sight when needed. So it's very much a possum game here at the moment. The boys from Legion are around, and they're going to push the flank hard. Now, the tactics is what really intrigues me in all these matchups. You can see Blast 44 is now joining up with the boys from the rest of the clan, and they are going to push low. Now, they're staying shallow there, so they're not going to be visible. There's a bunch of tanks that also get chosen in these games. The STB-1 is one that pops up again and again. You might remember AMX-30B running the STB-1 for Clan ID in the Twister Cup final on the Asia server, where they narrowly beat PLV. And he did that really, really well. One of the reasons they run the STB-1 is because it's got excellent view range, it's got a very strong turret, and it can go hull down very well. And they've found each other, and like so many things, all the anticipation is great, but then the meeting is absolutely brutal. And you've got a whole heap of tanks here, and all the battle plans go out the window. Everyone's done the jockeying for position, and it still ended up in pretty much just a head-to-head, let's bang the crap out of each other and see who comes out on top. So even the best of us come up short at times. That grill is in a really tough spot, and you can see Blast 44 is watching. They're looking for that flank, and Legion have moved early to cover the Raid flanker tank. Look at them there. They're coming around to the left, and Legion have tanks set up, ready to meet. The IS-7, the Unreal Engine, is pushing hard, and he's going to use that bulk, the hit points, and the armor profile. They've isolated one of the fellas from Raid, and they are going hard at him. RA1D, who had a really good game for Raid on mines in one of the other maps that I still haven't had a chance to show you. He is in Licorice All Sorts, and is in fact Gonski. He's right there and gone. That gives them a 2-gun advantage, and the boys from Legion are using it. The Grill is a fantastic tank if it gets a chance, but it's not getting a chance. No one's standing in front of that thing for very long. There's 3 Reds there, though. They have looked really solid in getting back together and regrouping to give themselves the best opportunity, but too many guns is going to get them in the end, and that's what it all comes down to. Blast 44 pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and they're just regrouping now so that they have enough guns. Even though they don't have a huge hit point pool left, you can see they've used guns on target rather than hit point pool. And that's where the joy of this kind of play is. It's all about balancing the massive hit point pools of each team and getting the most out of them, so that even if you end up with 5 guys with 100 hit points each, that's the aim of the game. As long as you've got guns, you can keep knocking down red tanks. Great game there from both sides. Really, really good play. And even though it's 5 tanks to 0 at the end, There is an awful lot of low hit point Legion kids there running around. Lots of good guys in the raid team as well. And I can tell you from watching the other game where they played a clan called Kazna that the guys from raid can really play. Now, Mines is an intriguing battle. This is the old Mines. You'll never see this again, boys and girls. Or at least you won't if Wargaming have their way. And just like in a public game, a lot of mediums can't get out of each other's way in time. Look at Legion push this hill. They really, really want to get up that hill and put shots into people going across. More so, and look at that. It's on for young and old. What a Donnybrook at the top of the hill. It's all happening. The auto-aim there absolutely screws Blast 44 and drags one into the rock, which is unfortunate. And he is just supporting at the back. Now they've got one guy in spawn. You can see him right around the one area there, and he is moving hard around to the right. Why is he doing that? Because right now, if the guys from Raid push around to the right, they'll get shots down and across. If the guy from Legion moves around in spawn to the far right, to the eastern side of that one marker in the spawn area, he can put shots back on spotted targets who are at the goal mouth there of the Mines Hill. And coming out sideways is T1A from the Raid clan. He's trying to push down there. There is a very, very low hit point boy from Legion. This is what I'm talking about. Guns is where it's at, boys and girls. Guns, 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 guns. Who has the most guns? Don't worry about the hit points. As long as they're alive, they can keep firing. And these guys are good enough to put themselves in positions to keep living on low hit points. Now look at that. There are 4 tanks at the base of that hill in real strife. The Raid guys have the high ground. Blast 44 is just looking to edge out here and try and get shots at people as they come across. But there is no one spotted on the entire map right now, despite the fact that both teams have 7 tanks. Blast just misses a chance there at the STB1, who is obviously going to get smashed if he comes out sideways again. And there you go. There's the shot. There's the shot. Gets it nice and easy. L1L probably giving one up way too easy there, coming out sideways, looking for the shot down the left flank, and just trying to spot targets because the Legion guys are giving absolutely nothing away. For all the boys from Raid know right now, Legion is streaking around the back going for a flank move. So they've done something very, very solid here. They've decided they're going to turn their cap into an advantage. And if you look just to the right, you'll see what looks like a line of lemmings. And they are actually pushing tanks up the hill. Can you believe that? That is fantastic teamwork from the guys from Legion. They've got together and nosed people up the hill. That's pulled the Raid boys around to the right, and it's going to give Blast 44 a chance to move up and reset the cap. And let's see if the guys from Raid are covering it, and they are. They're hip to that move. Great gameplay. There's 3 mediums streaking down here. Blast has been caught in a really tough position. He's taken a bunch of hits, but they've reset the cap again. Wow, still no tanks dead, a lot of low hit point tanks, and Legion are still up on top of that hill. They've still got a guy sniping from the right hand flank. This is the kind of gameplay you can expect at the Twister Cup in New York. This is where you get really good clans going hammer and tong at it, each other. It's much like the finals of all the games I've seen, both EU where Legion and Phoenix played off, the Grim and the Sparta boys on NA, the ID and the PLV guys on Asia. They're all creative teams. They've all got great communication, and they really do know how to play the game. And it's a credit to the guys in the Blitz gaming community that this has been set up, and there is actually an opportunity for people like you and me to get together and watch this quality of gameplay. And there you go. Blast has moved all the way around, gets defeated by his gun depression, and takes a big hit he probably wouldn't have taken if he'd been on an STB1. Gets one into the side of the IS-7, only takes one on the track and reverse, and he's reset cap again. R18, that boy is back, and here comes the STB1. He's pushing down really hard. Blast has been covered. This is like nip and tuck. We've got 2 minutes 40 to go, and there is not a dead tank on either team. Absolutely incredible gameplay. The STB1 is just making sure that Blast cannot reset that cap without taking one. He's not moving forward. He's covered. He's not taking shots from the flank. They're in really, really tough times here. The Legion boys are lower on hit points, but they have yet to give up a gun. So it's equal, 7 guns each. The cap is on nearly 50 and only 2 minutes and 10 seconds left to play. It's really, really close. They've got more than enough time to cap it out. And what Blast is probably thinking here is that he can cap this. He cannot cap this, sorry. That he can reset this cap if he takes a shot and survives from the right. But it's going to be really, really tricky to do. He's got to drag one out of this IS-7. And the time will come very, very soon, very shortly, where he won't have a choice. He's spotted now. They've lost a tank. It's all happening. Legion have pushed up the top. They know that they've got enough guns there to just keep things going. They've just got to reset cap. 85 on the cap. They've got to find that IS-7. They're pushing up in. Blast is going to take that hit. They reset the cap. They pull back. Blast is now on the STB, and he's down. 4 on 4. The tanks, only a minute 21 left. Eddie Bang Bang goes down. Oh, it's all happening now. 4 on 2. And 3 on 2. 2 guns left. Oh, that STB did a great job. Blast had that cap covered, but they read it really well. Held him in reserve. 2 on all. 1 minute and 2 seconds left, and it's a 2 on 1. What incredible gameplay. This boy from Legion knows he's got the hit points to take him, but he doesn't know exactly where the other is coming from. And they're indicating right. And that's the perfect call here, because as long as that Object 140 can't get him, the STB-1 is not going to have a chance to get around. And there he is. He's taken a shot. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Now, do they play for the draw? The STB-1 knows this. He is racing up the flank here because there's only 28 seconds left. And Gang is in a strong spot to get the draw. If he pulls away here, they'll be okay. And that's what's going to play out. It looks very, very, very tough from both sides of the coin. No chances now. Not enough time on the clock to get the DPM and get it done. He's got to land on this guy. No good. And they had the cap, so they were defending. They had to get the win. Really, really, really amazing quality gameplay from both RA1D and Legion there. That's probably the best game I've seen in a while. Now, I saw RA1D do this in the other video. Watch this. Object 140 goes up. Next Object 140 pushes behind. And then all the other 140s in the line, conga line on up. Get on up. Unbelievable stuff. How cool is this? Wouldn't you love to do this in a public game and have 5 140s sitting up the top of the hill? No worries whatsoever. The IS-7 is pushing, pushing, pushing. Can they get him up there? Eddie Bang Bang, come on, he's eaten too many pies and he's up. And Blast is gone. And they're recovering and moving around because the boys from RA1D are settling in at the back of the map. Now, I believe RA1D are the attacking team this time out. It's going to be very, very interesting. There's different rules of engagement for this tourney than there normally would be. And that's important to remember because it's not just a win and a loss. Depending on whether you own the territory or not was very much the case when it came to who was attacking, whether a draw was a win or a loss. And because Legion were attacking the territory before, a draw was actually a loss for them. Or at least that's how I believe. If you want to know the full details, go to the Kings of Europe website. There's plenty of stuff there. Now, you might have seen there was a tank spotted down here on the western flank. And the tank is actually an Object 140, and he's in a completely different position than you'd normally see in a public game. And that's something that's definitely interesting. You see people go to really different spots, get up the hill in different ways, and do completely different things than you'd normally see in a public game. And that's probably because these guys know what they're doing, as opposed to you and me, who just jumble and mumble around the place, stumbling, tumbling, getting it done any way they can. Now, he got a shot in, but that was a terrible hit point trade. As soon as he hit that shot, he was lit up from the right flank, and everyone over there saw him, and he got drilled for it. So Blast 44 actually lost a huge amount of hit points. And what Legion has done then is bring up the Object 140 here from Unreal Engine, and another one, there's Gang Dang, I think that is, I missed him. And they've decided that they're going to try and isolate this 140 here. There, though, is another tank directly behind, an STB-1. So what looked like being a 3-on-2 gun situation has turned into a 2-on-2 gun situation. And given that Blast 44 had to take a lot of hits getting there in the first place, it was probably not as good a move as they would have hoped for. Still, they have cleared that flank with help from the guys at the mouth of the tunnel, and they now have a 1-gun advantage. And even better, they've got this poor old IS-7 from RA1D, R18 again, in a horrible spot at the base of the hill, getting hit from both sides. So it's now a really, really tough match with 4 mediums stuck at the back and the 172 hit point IS-7 pushing the hill solo. This is going to be very, very interesting because Legion has decided to push, isolate, get rid of the IS-7 and find these 4 meds in a pocket. And it looks like a great call because they are getting hit from all sides by a gun advantage, and they simply cannot survive this kind of firepower and this kind of damage per minute that's pumping out from all these little Russian meds. And look at this, a very, very sneaky LAN getting in shots from underneath the spawn area on the sniper position from the mines. It really makes me a little bit melancholy to think that we'll never see these mines maps again. Still and all, very, very good fight that time. The map really got decided on that flank push. Once Legion pushed down that western flank and took that, it got everyone else from the RA1D team in a pocket. Even though Legion paid for it with a very solid tank and a lot of damage, they didn't lose enough guns to make a difference. And that's where the map was won and lost. And we're going to move on now to the final stages of the game, of this match, and have a look at Himmelsdorf. Now, really, really different makeup here. You can see there's a 215B, an IS-4, a couple of IS-7s on the RA1D team, and the Legion boys have 2 IS-7s and an E5. So Himmelsdorf being a very corridor-oriented map, they've gone for big, angry Russian heavies, namely the IS-7, a fantastic option, and the E5, which I'm actually surprised to see so much of in this clan war variation. The 215B is a real surprise for me. I saw that being played pretty well on the Asia Twister Cup finals by Selbrock, who was leading the PLV tilt there, and you can see here it's actually a really interesting game to see it on such a tunnel-oriented game, like just a straight one-line game, and going for the HE shots into the IS-4 there. Blast 44 in the big dog, and it's interesting to see Blast play after playing the object the whole time, and paltry return on the investment of 63 damage, but you're always a chance of getting into a module as well, damaging the gun, all kinds of things. Now the E5 has that big weak spot on the top. You can see he's moving backwards and forwards there, making sure that that is not available as an easy shot, and he's only really stopping when there's a chance to put a shot in and then moving again, because I believe that is T1A is not giving anything up down there. And just another HE bomb going in there on the left from the Object 140. Lots of HE being fired here, mainly because it is the only real option. The IS-4 has a very, very low ammo loadout, so if this was an exceptionally long game with a whole lot of HE fired, it might be a problem. But in a game like this, you are generally not going to get one bloke firing heaps of ammo against 3 or 4 targets at once, because that guy will be dead. The Legion kiddies are pushing around. The heavies are holding this flank, and they're just touching along down the western edges of the Himmelsdorf map on the outsides of the railway tracks, looking to see what they can spot, see what's available down there, and you can see the RA1D boys are starting to move. You saw a tank going from left to right across your screen there. The Legion kids are tilted up there. There's an Object 140 at the back of the big square in the middle who can get shots across. There's a second Object 140 behind the first Object 140 who is simply pushing down that right flank and spotting down the corridor, and there they are. He's got a lot of them now. That's a great job. He has spotted up the bunch, and they're all tickled around that corner. A big corner fight, and he's going to be putting shots into anyone who moves back too far on that flank. And very, very soon, someone's going to have to make a push down there. They are. There they go. They're going for it. And he is bailing at pace. You can see the 140 tearing back up. you've got to love the quality of this gameplay. And the boys from RA1D, stop dead. Do not follow. Do not give the shots up. And absolutely hold their position and move back. And everything is back. And there's Blast being called on the E5, my left. And Blast is going to move up to cover that. The E5 has called it. And he's exactly right. And look, Blast is moving back, so he's in a position. Here comes the rush. Misses what would have been a great shot. And the boys from RA1D have caught them napping. And look at the staggering of these heavy tanks here. Blast just has to put whatever damage he can in here and try and live through at least one round so he can get another shot off. He is under the guns. Look at the pump coming. It is incredible. When these guys get it going, there is so much damage coming in. And the IS-7 is tough as nails. It is going off hammer and tong up here in the corner after such an incredibly well-fought match that is just generated into a massive brawl. And there are tanks flying left and right. Russian mediums going crazy as they drop like flies, and there are 3 left from the RA1D tilt. The IS-4 has been strong enough. The E5 is low on hit points, but they've not focus fired. That Object 140 is still alive, and this is what I'm talking about. He is a gun. He is a gun that has to be taken out, and it doesn't matter the hit points. He is still putting damage out. That was Thomas, the head of the Legion clan. This has been a crackerjack engagement. 2-on-2. Absolutely neck and neck. What a massive iron fist push for the boys from RA1D. There's 2 Object 140s left here. Eddie is in big strife. He's taking it from all sides and can't get out of there. The IS-7's got him covered. He's run into the carcass of a teammate. They're going to nut this IS-7. Eddie's got to watch out. There's someone coming on the right as well as the left. He's balancing, doing his best just to get this one away. He's got an IS-4 coming up on the right who is switched over to the target of the Unreal Engine. R1B gets Unreal Engine, but then we are down to a close one. Now remember what I talked about before, where the actual defender of the territory can hold a draw, and that is as good as a win if you are defending the territory. And that means that the IS-4 from RA1D, I could have this completely wrong, but this is my understanding. The IS-4 from RA1D needs to kill Eddie Bang Bang, or this will be a win for the Legion kids. And that's really, really important. And Eddie Bang Bang is doing his level best to put as much tank and cover between him and that monstrously big T18 T1A IS-4 as possible, because look at their hit points. If this gets into a brawl, Eddie Bang Bang is screwed good and proper. But he just cannot draw anything out. And he's got no choice here. It's 1 minute 10 to go. He's trying to get shots, but T1A is way too calm for it. He's just pulled back. He knows he's got the hit points. As long as he can keep Eddie Bang Bang sighted with proximity, he will know which way he's coming, and he won't get wrong-footed, flanked, COD'd, or anything. He's playing this very, very close to his chest. And this has been an incredibly well-played game. You saw Legion just jab down that western flank near the rail yards, constantly taunt and try and pull RA1D out and then slip around, and RA1D pushed, had none of it, stopped as soon as Legion ran, came screaming back around. You saw the call from Thomas to look to his left, and it was on for young and old. They staggered it. I was absolutely amazed at how long Blast 44 lasted. Hell of a game. And you can see here, Eddie Bang Bang is just going to run it out, get the draw, and go home to fight another day. And T1A just doesn't have a lot of choice here. He can't push around. He'll never catch the Object 140. And at the end of the day, probably a very, very well-deserved draw there. Good score from that. And here we go, the last game of the day. Now, if I got that wrong, boys from RA1D, Legion, Kings of Europe, what was going on there, I apologise, but I've got precious little idea as I wasn't involved in the tournament. Now this is just a good old-fashioned bash. There's been feints, there's been pushing, there's been shoving, there's been tactics, there's been talk all the way through, and now we've come down to an iron fist 7-on-7 flank move straight up the guts. 6 minutes in, to go, and we are 100% pushing. Thomas is in there in the E5, in the Object 140. You can see Arlan has pushed up in the E5. He's going hull down around that corner, and that's a double IS4 and IS4 on the IS4 of the Raid boys, and he's screwed, and suddenly there's a 2-gun advantage, and Legion know exactly what to do. There's blood in the water. They can smell it. They've pincered them between 2 fronts. This is the old Shaka Zulu going on at pace. That is now a 3-gun advantage, and for what was an absolutely tremendously well-fought competition with some brilliant gameplay from both sides, this is probably a little bit of an unfair climax, because it really was such a fantastically well-fought joust. A superb effort from both Legion and Raid, and a great credit to the game that is Blitz to showcase exactly how much fun it can be when played in a super competitive environment. Hats off, boys. Thank you very, very much. I don't believe either of these teams actually were the Kings of Europe. I'll have a look at that and find out who won Kings of Europe. But I got to say, with quality gameplay like that, it's hard to believe that Raid or Legion didn't pick up the chocolates for that one. Stick around the channel, guys. I know that's been a very long video, but I enjoyed it tremendously. It was great to see such top quality gameplay from such top quality players. You've got to be looking forward to the live stream from New York. That's going to be a hell of a thing, and I can't wait to be involved in that. I'm going to be broadcasting the patron tourney. We've currently got 18 teams of 3-on-3. It's going to be fantastic with a losers bracket as well. When we get to the finals of that, I'm going to broadcast that live, and you're going to get to see the patrons go hard at it. And for all that they're probably not up to the scratch of Legion and Raid, and guys like Sparta, Grim, PLV, ID, Phoenix, all these great clans, they are every bit as keen to get stuck in and have a go. And it should be great giggle as teams like Tits, Baron's team, and G-Spot, and Not, and the Clown Shoes Are Us, and Grump Reloaded, and all the other boys kick off and do their very, very best. I'm Bushka Blitz. If you'd like to be part of the Patreon team, jump on into the sponsorship. There's a link here at the end of the video. They are basically the people that keep the channel rolling and give me the opportunity to meet fantastic people from all around the world, like Ulrich and Thomas, and from Legion, and the guys from Phoenix who I met through Sock Robber Dave, and all the other great kids. Scumbag Juju on the NA server. I mean, Low Keen, Left Turn. There's this huge, big community of tankers building, guys, and I think it's a credit to everyone that despite the intemperate outbursts in the game itself, we all have a pretty good time outside while we're having a chat. Look after yourselves, but more importantly, look after your families. Stay safe on the battlefield. Until next time, bye for now.